In our previous episode, we witnessed Roxy in a fierce battle against the soldiers. However, the sacred bird appears, aiming to target and kill her. In the nick of time, Vite comes to her rescue with his colossal shield. In those crucial moments, he unveils his face, and Roxy recognizes that it is Vite behind the mask. Unfortunately, her arm is brutally severed in a shocking turn of events. In the upcoming thrilling episode, it remains uncertain how Roxy and Vite will cope with this dire situation. With Roxy's severed arm and the revelation of Vite's identity, the suspense builds as they face the challenges ahead. This episode marks the culmination of the anime series, so continue watching until the end to unravel the full story. Important note, this episode is truly breathtaking, making it the best episode you'll experience in this anime. Our story begins when Vite delivers a powerful blow to the sacred bird. When Vite's mask is unveiled, Lady Roxy calls out to him. He turns to her, welcoming her warmly, as they haven't seen each other for a long time. However, Roxy is shocked and taken aback when she looks into his red eyes, recalling something from the past. At this moment, Vite urges her to leave the place quickly, revealing that the sacred bird will attack again shortly, and they have no more time. He apologizes for lying to her all this time, expressing gratitude for everything that happened between them. He reminisces about the memories they shared before swiftly departing, leaving Roxy behind. She is overcome with intense sadness, crying heavily at his departure. We then witness Vite finally reaching the colossal monster. The powerful young man stands atop the beast and informs it that this task won't be as easy as expected. Vite shouts at him, telling him to shut up completely, and unleashes a destructive force capable of obliterating anything. Then he strikes the giant monster with it, and the sword informs him that it has been hit, and now it is restrained. However, the monster is more powerful than expected. It retaliates by directing a barrage of gunfire-like blows, unleashing fire on the enemy and the aircraft. Yet, Vite effortlessly evades and counters with ease. He then collides with the yellow-haired boy, who is astonished by Vite's ability to restrict the movements of the sacred dragon with unparalleled skill. Vite explains that he did it so they could fight man to man, not wanting anyone to interfere in this fierce battle that resembles a true duel between justice heroes and the forces of evil. We see Vite and the boy engage in sword combat. However, Jasha informs him that his stats have decreased after using magical art. The yellow-haired boy acknowledges Vite's prowess in combat but delivers a powerful strike that causes the ground to explode beneath them. Vite retreats and narrowly avoids the attack. In this situation, Jasha advises him to stay close to the monster because if they move too far away, the monster's restraint will be released, posing a significant danger. The monster fights with the yellow-haired boy, while Vite fights him alone. However, the clever boy discovers this formidable plan and realizes that if he distances himself, he won't be able to maintain the magical art and restraint. Enraged by the boy's revelation, Jasha attacks him with a dangerous strike, unfortunately resulting in the severing of Vite's arm. Vite screams in agony from the intense and painful blow, collapsing to the ground. The boy then informs Vite that his time is up, standing in front of him to decapitate him. However, something strange happens. The boy is suddenly stabbed from behind, and his sword tears through his entire abdomen. It is revealed that Vite was incredibly clever. He used an ability called illusion magic to deceive the boy into thinking he was incapacitated and unable to move. He had approached from behind and killed him outright. Afterward, Vite finds himself in a strange place and wonders where he is. The white-haired girl approaches him, revealing that she had tried to warn him several times before. When Vite looks at her, he realizes that she is the girl who was the essence of Han Yil, the giant monster fought in the city of Galia. She introduces herself as Luna and thanks him for killing her, surprising Vite. Luna tells him not to be saddened, as it was better for her this way. She then apologizes profusely and explains that she cannot continue to suppress her bloodthirsty instincts. Vite expresses his surprise upon seeing the monsters and the bloodthirsty ability, mentioning that it had been calm all this time thanks to her. Luna explains that she was the one doing it, but now she can no longer control it. She informs him that if he manages to devour and consume the sacred dragon, he will lose control entirely. Vite is taken aback by this revelation, and Luna pats her head, stating that she was the one who used to do that. Then the bridge collapses beneath Vite's feet, and he falls. In the last moment, a hand is extended to him, saving him. However, it's not a girl who saved him, but Jasha Sif, who now appears in a human form. Vite is surprised by this development. When Jasha saves him, Vite stands before him, casting strange glances. Jasha warns him not to stare at him like that, as time is running out, and he needs to return quickly. During this time, Vite turns to Luna, thanking her for the warning and the things she had been doing for him. Back in reality, Vite grabs the sword with his right hand, as that is the only hand he has left. He asks the sword if he was a person before, and the sword tells him that he was just a regular man. However, now they must kill the giant dragon, especially after it finally freed itself from the restraint. Jasha then roars with immense strength, heard by everyone in the vicinity. The sword inquires about Vite's plan. It's challenging to use a shield or a bow with only one arm. Vite thinks for a moment and asks the sword if he ever desired to fly before. The sword doesn't understand what Vite means, but soon we see Vite throwing the sword into the air, aiming at the monster. Indeed, Vite directs the sword to the heart of the beast, then runs towards it, delivering a powerful punch, what he calls the destruction punch. The sword returns to him, and he scolds it for being thrown without permission. Angry, the sword demands Vite to recognize the monster's skill. Vite evaluates the monster's abilities, finding that all its levels are high, but it has a slight advantage in statistics. Vite tells the sword that in this world of superhuman strength, he doesn't trust numbers much. The sword asks him to identify the monster's skill, and Vite discovers that it excels slightly in the field of non-human power. The sword expresses skepticism about relying on such vague terms, but Vite insists they focus on what they can do. Then we see Vite charging at the monster, slashing both of its arms with a single strike. The monster falls to the ground, and Vite decides to enhance the sharp-edge skill with the power skill to multiply its impact. We witness Vite attacking the monster, slicing it in half, causing the creature to die. Afterward, Vite activates the bloodthirst skill, and at this moment, he falls to the ground. A significant amount of blood spews from his mouth, and he panics, fearing that he might die. Vite understands that if bloodthirst manifests now, it will be terrifying, and he will become a more significant threat than the sacred dragon. Desperately trying to prevent it, Vite attempts self-healing but realizes he cannot continue. Bloodthirst is about to activate in a dangerously intense manner. Despite the sword's warnings, Vite apologizes, admitting he has nothing left to do. However, Vite calms down momentarily, and his levels return to a lower state. If he goes berserk again, the damage will be at its lowest levels. Vite falls to the ground, and at this moment, Main approaches him. She expresses surprise that this day came so soon and dismounts. Main tells Vite that she didn't think this day would arrive so fast and offers to kill him immediately. Vite, greatly frightened, pleads with her not to kill him. Main reminds him that she warned him before that if he pressures himself too much, the skill will overpower him, making him lose control. Vite apologizes again, and Main decides to fulfill the promise she made to him. Main grabs her sword to strike him, but Roxy intervenes just in time to save Vite. Vite is astonished to see her and questions why she did that. Roxy yells at him, expressing her disbelief that he would try to kill himself. Vite asks her not to look at him like that, and Roxy, not understanding what Vite was trying to do, scolds him. Vite then requests her not to look at him like that ever again, not wanting her to see him in such a state. Roxy, still not comprehending Vite's intentions, assures him that she could never hate him in such a way and doesn't care about the strength he carries. She tells Vite that he will remain as he is, and he should never try to kill himself again. Vite said to her, "This is strange. Bloodthirst was raging a moment ago, but now it has calmed down." Roxy spoke to him, saying, "Let's go back to Babylon." Vite was surprised, looking at her, thinking to himself that he was afraid she would hate him, but she accepted him even after knowing the truth. He wanted to save her, but in reality, he wanted her to save him, just as she did before. Veit then loses consciousness and falls to the ground. The next day, Veit wakes up in a room at home, remembering that Nordren cut off his left arm. He wonders how much time has passed while he was asleep. Main and Eris enter, and Main informs him that he has been asleep for a whole week. Veit is astonished to find them there, and Main teases him for sleeping too much. Eris comments that he can't do anything about it, considering he overuses his strength. They hand him the sword, and Veit talks to the sword, asking if it just realized it was missing. Veit answers negatively, and the sword remarks that he seems to be in bad shape. Eris suggests going to the Gallia Center to find him. Veit questions why the sword is not dirty, and the sword replies that it thought it would never return. Main adds that it was too far away and a source of annoyance. Veit asks what he was doing there, and Eris explains that they believe a monster carried him all that way, as Main forgot about carrying him. Main says she was preoccupied with dealing with others, and Eris mentions it would be bad if another vessel like Nordren were found. Veit expresses surprise and asks what happened with Nordren and the Envy. Main explains that Nordren was under control, like a puppet, by the Black Pistol sword. Veit is shocked and asks what the Envy is. Eris clarifies that Envy was controlling the sword. The sword admits it had no idea it could control minds, but, considering the terrible situation Veit was in, it's not surprising. And the deadly sin's weapons cannot be destroyed, Eris said to Veit. After defeating the Holy Dragon, prove your capabilities. We need your help, and there's no longer a plan to create an ascended human with Roxy's death. Veit told her, swear to me that you won't seek Roxy again. I'll listen to what you have to say. Eris agreed, admitting that Envy was the one who originally suggested it. She acknowledged that she was foolish for agreeing after the Holy Dragon's departure. Now, with a new era approaching, they will need Veit's strength. Every holder of the deadly sin skills is expected to take responsibility for it. Veit, still puzzled, mentioned that he was born with the bloodthirst skill and believed there must be a reason for it. He wanted to know that reason. Eris explained that first, he needed to do something about the seed. Veit was surprised and asked if she would heal his arm. He had never heard of magic like that before and wondered if he would regain his arm. Eris informed him that they needed to leave before Roxy returned. Veit asked why, and Eris explained that it was extremely dangerous for him to be near her now. Just hearing her name increased bloodthirst. The scene then shifts to Mireia training with a sword, being defeated by her captain. Suddenly, Mireia sees a girl named Rainy. The guard looks back and finds nothing. We learn that Mireia tricked him, and there was nothing there. As Roxy was about to strike her with the sword, Mireia noticed her and rushed to ask where she was going. Roxy instructed her to take care of things in her absence and left. This angered Mireia, who bet that Roxy was going to see Veit. The scene then shifts to the market, where Roxy stands in front of grapes. She later goes to Veit's room, but he's not there. Surprised, Roxy places the grapes on the bed and finds a letter on the desk. Veit apologizes for not informing her about his bloodthirst skill and thanks her. He explains that he had to leave suddenly but promises to return. Roxy reads the letter, expressing her emotions, acknowledging Veit's struggles, and noting the courage he gave her. At night, Roxy walks through the city and encounters a lonely child. She advises him to return home, emphasizing the danger of wandering late. The child fears Roxy and asks her not to hit him. Roxy questions why he thinks she would harm them, and the child explains that he angered a holy knight. Roxy apologizes and expresses shame for the fear people have of holy knights. Suddenly, she hears a growl and realizes it's the child's stomach. Roxy prepares a box full of food for him. The child, grateful, explains that he doesn't have a family waiting for him. Roxy is surprised, and when the child leaves, she asks if he has a place to stay. He tells her that he doesn't have a place, but now he realizes that the capital is not as bad as he expected, and he is very happy because he met a kind holy knight like her. Roxy then asks for his name, and the boy tells her his name is Vite before leaving. Roxy speaks to herself, expressing how that moment allowed her to lift her head high and be proud of being a holy knight. She stands in front of the window, wishing to meet Vite again and vowing to become stronger when that day comes. The scene shifts to Raffle and his sister talking, realizing that the deceased lord was Vite. Raffle finishes his coffee, informing his sister that he's leaving for some research and will return to it. His sister wonders what Raffle is doing with this research. The scene then transitions to Raffle in his room, talking to himself. He expresses joy that Vite killed Hado. Suddenly, a red light emanates from the gem in the box, and Raffle laughs. And thus, this anime comes to an end. Stay tuned for a new anime, but you need to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all the updates. Continue to follow us for more exciting content.